I'd do 15 days at the Disneyland hotel with like 2 days at the parks.
Yeah.
And I just want to live at the Disneyland
I
hotel.
know.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Disneyland versus Disney World.
Every time you go higher, and I can't match Disney World versus Disneyland.
And you know what I learned?
What?
I actually made the two titles separately, so it doesn't matter who does which in what order because I can set them up in the right order. That's good thinking, Rob.
Future Rob.
Good job. It was past Rob who made the titles. But future Rob's probably pretty bright, too. This is the series where Christine and I pick an attraction from Disney World and an attraction from Disneyland, and we make them fight each other. Sometimes those attractions are the exact same attraction with their, respective differences. But today, they're actually going to be different attractions that have like a similar,
mechanic
theme. Yeah, mechanic. And today we are going to be taking a look at Test Track from Epcot and Walt Disney World, and we're going to be taking a look at Radiator Spring Racers in California Adventure. Rady Racers, as I call it all the time. Obviously, two very different rides with very different themes, but they do have that same car mechanic. You can almost, if you were to strip them down to their like bare bones, they'd look like pretty similar rides. And so I thought this would be a fun one to compare and contrast.
Yeah.
So Christine, I don't know which one you want to talk about first, but
I think let's
one.
start with the one we know best.
Okay.
Which is Disney World Test Track.
Honestly, that was the first time I've ridden it, so I've ridden both of them around the same amount of times.
You didn't, yeah, okay.
But
oh, that's fair.
Disney World's better, so let's just go with Test Track.
Yeah, so let's talk about Test Track. So Test Track got revamped. I don't know, how many years ago is it now? I definitely had been on it before you had in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before that.
Yeah, the Tron Test Track is the one
sort
we're
of
comparing.
I mean, you could tell that they were trying to touch a little bit on it, but without outright being like Tron.
Right. Copyright. They don't want to get copyright.
Yeah. So the newer one has updated queue music. It has just an updated queue where you get to see all these cool different cars that people have actually made. I mean, they're not like necessarily mass produced, but it's like all these cool engineering designs of what cars of the future could be. And I think there's like some interactive stuff, not too much though, in the queue.
You designed the car.
Before you get on the ride though, I mean, before you even get to that point. Okay. I'm talking about the very early queue.
Oh. Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember the queue reminds me a lot of what I would imagine Stark Expo would be like.
Yes.
Like very sci-fi, like the future is now. And, the music. Yeah, everything just gave me that vibe, which made it like one of my favorite queues in Epcot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got that futuristic vibe. And then, of course, before you even get on the ride, the newest element is that you get to design your car and you get put in front of this giant, touchpad tablet where you can pick how it looks. You can determine all different specs about
speed and power, and I don't even know. There's like four major ones.
Right.
And it depends on the shape of your car will change that. The size of your tires, like every little thing that you add or take away changes your stats. And basically you want to race against other people and go through the tests against other people in your car and see who comes out on the top, which is super cool that they you can do that.
You load the car up onto your Magic Band,
yeah,
you go pop it into the little console before you get on the ride itself. And then, obviously it doesn't change the car how it actually looks, although that'd be cool, and Disney would be the one to figure out how to do that.
So
but as you said, as you go through the different tests and test tracks, it gives you a little scoreboard with all of the cars loaded in that vehicle, and picks out which one's the best for that test.
Mm-hmm. And then the tests have been redone with that Tron-esque kind of look. So it's very orange blue lighting. Wireframe. It definitely makes the test matter more because you actually care about how your car's performing. So every time I ride it now, it's like you're always cheering or booing or yelling at each other in the car about who's doing better, which like before it was just like, okay, whatever, we're going through these tests, why do I care? And then of course at the very end you get shot out across the actual track, the banking track that goes outside, and you go to like what, 60, 65 miles per hour.
I think it's like 60. Yeah.
Just like what my dad did in
I was gonna say it's where my parents drive on the highway.
It feels faster though because
there's the banking.
Yeah, and there's also
you don't bank on the highway, hopefully.
You're
and there's no top.
Yeah, you're essentially like a convertible, so it makes it feel a lot faster.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of the final part of it. And then you're done, you get off, and then you can, in the after show stuff, post show, you can actually use your car design to interact with a whole bunch of other cool things, make a commercial.
Top-down racing.
Yeah.
I love that post show area. That to me is like the new bar of what a post show area should be like.
Yeah. Bringing your ride experience off into other interactive things afterwards. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's it. And as far as a mechanic, it's a car on a track. It goes fast. It spins. It sticks to a car. It's pretty much, I would imagine, I think it's more or less the same ride vehicle as Racers.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, that's just all I'm going to call it this whole
Racers.
I can't not in my mind for some reason.
It was like me with Ubisoft and Ubisoft.
Yeah, it's Racers. So let's talk a little bit about Radiator Spring Racers. In Cars Land over in California Adventure, same ride mechanics, same concept of you're on this car, on this track, it's doing, it's going fast, it's braking fast, it's making all these sharp turns, and then there's like an outdoor area where it really tries to push the speed to a limit and you're doing some bankings. As far as mechanics go, it's actually extremely similar, but then everything else about it's completely different. It's based on Cars, the Pixar movie, which I think gets a bad rap a little too often. I really enjoy that movie.
I fell asleep during it.
The second one, I actually got a headache from watching. The first one, I really, really enjoyed. But that aside, it's this more rustic, if you've seen the movie, it's based on Radiator. God, I can't say it. It's based on Radiator Springs, which is sort of like this off Route 66 sort of, western town. And the idea is the queue's not interactive, really. You're just going through this very rustic-looking western area.
You're in the canyon.
Yeah, you're basically in the canyon. And once you get on, you start by taking like this nice scenic drive. It's very, the music is really what sticks to me. And then you start to get into trouble where you're like, swerving away from trucks and, you're running from the tractor. And then it culminates with this big drag race essentially that you have with the other car full of other guests. And, clearly I'd say it's more randomized, I'd imagine, than Test Track, where, your stats actually kind of play a part in it, and they usually have a daily winner for who's got the best design. But it still feels like it's like this neck and neck drag race. And similar to Test Track, we had people in our car cheering and like, whooping and hollering, hoping to win. And it's got that same element of feeling faster than it probably is because you've got the open top, you're banking, you're braking fast, you're going over little bumps.
I think it's far more thrilling than Test Track's part because Test Track is essentially an oval track that banks. Yeah. And this has parts of that, and then it also has these great little like drops that you definitely feel, and like it's more dynamic, I think, of a track. Yeah, and then I love that. Yeah, it is randomized who's gonna win, but as you're racing, it literally is like one car pulls ahead and then the other car pulls ahead, and it's like so both cars have the excitement of like I could win, and
it's very deliberately neck and neck. And then the one bigger aspect that we didn't bring up is like the amazing animatronics of the cars themselves. Like, I didn't believe it when I saw it on YouTube when the ride first opened because I didn't know when I was going to ever get out to Disneyland. Right. And then I got out there and it is like the cars have come to life. Like, it is some of the best animatronics I have seen in any Disney park so far. It's seriously impressive. Just the way they move is really great. So, Christine, which one? Which one wins?
So my favorite of the two is Racers. Radiator Springs Racers, 100%.
Why?
And I mean, I think part of it is, and I've been saying this, it's a little unfair because a lot of Disneyland stuff is so new to me that of course it was more exciting.
But to be fair, that Test Track is pretty new, even though you've been on it before our last trip.
I've only been on it
It's
once.
still pretty new, yeah.
And I think it's a culmination of, I mean, I don't know, it's tough because I really do love the idea of like high-tech futuristic stuff that Test Track has. Like theming-wise, I like that. But the actual experience of the ride is just, to me, it was much more thrilling on Radiator. Oh God, I can't say it.
Right? It's just, that's how it...
I love
point.
the setup in the beginning is beautiful, and they have the waterfall, and you're right, like the music and the animatronics are so impressive, and then the actual end race is far more thrilling to me than the end of Test Track. And even though I didn't have any sort of competition that I was caring about or rooting for in the, you still had like I knew it was random, but I was still really proud.
Yeah, you're right. You get into
it.
Yeah.
I was super excited. And unlike Test Track, we had the fast pass, remember? And we went on it because the line wait wasn't so long.
Right.
And then we almost immediately, we killed some time, but then almost immediately went back on it. And I don't think I would ever do that with Test Track, to be completely honest. So, I don't know.
Although, I want to interject this. It doesn't affect, I think, my judgment of the rides or yours, but when we rode Test Track, I think for the last time on our last trip, there was a storm coming.
Yes.
And throughout the entire queue, this warning message from like this very overly calm woman kept coming on. It's like, inclement weather is approaching the pavilion. And it felt like I was on Jurassic Park or something. Like, I was like, we got to get this over with before something awful happens.
Yeah.
And even though that was a bad thing, because the last thing we wanted was to like get cut off right before we get on the ride, and we can't ride it, because that was like one of the last days, at least for me. I was like, that was the best part of the queue for me, was just this impending feeling of doom that like this storm of death was on its way.
I mean, and it was, because it like later on.
Then we got on just in time. I mean, my takeaway is this. Test Track, I think, has the better queue. I think it's more interactive. I think it has the better post-show because it integrates the ride itself. I love the aesthetic. I thought it was exciting. And so, odd as it is, I give my point to Radiator Springs Racer despite all of that. And I think it's because that ride does theming in such a more emotionally evocative way than Test Track's slick and awesome looking, and it's got all the bells and whistles. But like, I felt like I was in Cars when I was riding that ride, and that's what a ride's supposed to do, is bring you somewhere else. I didn't think I was on the grid when I was riding Test Track.
Right.
And I think the ride, and I didn't bring this up before, but I think it integrates with the land it's part of. And to be fair, it's a Cars ride in Cars Land. Test Track's, a single ride in a pavilion that isn't about Test Track. But I think that adds to it. Test Track is a building in a spot, whereas I feel like this was almost, without the visual aspect, it was like the weenie of Cars Land. And it was just the perfect point, the end point of that land. And I think it does a great job, whereas like Test Track has this banked curve that sort of, you hear it very often approaching, but like the way Radiators is laid out, you can get this great view of the cars racing, whether you're on the queue or outside. Yeah, exactly. So I think it just does a great job there. And so overall, I'd give my point to that one, because I just think it's a more, I don't know, that's a more memorable experience I'm going to walk away from. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Christine, for joining me again. Let us know in the comments below which of the two you like better. Obviously, they're very different attractions, so I'm really excited to see what people have to say about that. Also, let us know what other attractions you want to see us compare next. You can let us know in the comments. You can let me know on Twitter. I'm at RobPlays. You can let Christine know on Twitter.
I'm at IvyWinterYT.
And you should check out our YouTube channel, because she has Disney vlogs and video game videos and all sorts of other great stuff. And if you watch both of our channels together, it's like getting a video virtually every day of the week.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Whatever you're doing this week, make the most of it, because it makes it that much better. And I hope to see you next time for the next Disneyland versus Disney World.
Disney World versus Disneyland.
You got to hit those high notes next time, or we can't. There you go.